Hello, everyone. We are live. Today is Thursday, and today is interview day. And so my guest today is an awesome guest. I'll tell you about her in 1 minute. If you are joining us live, in the comment below, #live, or if you're watching the replay, do #replay, and do tell us where you're coming from. As you know, I'm in Mexico. I come to you every Thursday from Mexico, and my guest today is from Canada. And so the name of my guest today is Jacquie Doucette. And Jacquie and I met online, which seems to be the way most people meet today. And Jacquie, I just want to tell you a little bit. Jacquie has spent the past 40 years as an employee. So she knows about what it's like to be caught in the 9-to-5 world. But listen to this. She's the founder of Beyond Retirement, which is the top 50 podcast and now is a movement. So without any further ado, I want to introduce you to Jacquie Doucette. Hi, Jacquie. How are you?
Hey, Lucy. I'm great. How are you?
I'm fine. Now, I know I mentioned that you're from Canada, but you're from what part of Canada?
I'm from just south of Ottawa in Ontario.
Okay, Ontario. So the eastern part of Canada.
Yeah.
So have you lived there all your life, by the way?
I have. I was born in Ottawa. I grew up. I moved around a little bit, but I've always been in Eastern Canada.
Uh-huh. Now, I did mention that you are the founder of the Beyond Retirement podcast. Now, talking to you, I know that you became a podcaster by accident. Can you talk a little bit about that? How does one become a podcaster by accident?
Well, I guess it's by trying to help out a friend. Okay. I decided to join a group on Facebook because someone I knew was helping out another friend. He needed an audience while he taught a new course. So I decided to be part of that audience. And over the course of this course, which was 3 days, 2 hours each day, he taught us how to lay out content for an entire year of a podcast. So at the end of it, I had that content all laid out. I figured I might as well start.
Absolutely. So it was a podcast, on steroids almost.
Exactly.
Absolutely great. It's a great. So you've also had other experience on a wide array of experience of online programs and platforms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that, other than podcasting?
Sure. Well, I've done a few things like many entrepreneurs have. I've done a number of network marketing companies.
Absolutely. We've all been there.
We've all done that.
Uh-huh.
And more recently, what I've started doing is what I call retirement lifestyle coaching. And I help people who are getting ready to retire, and I show them how to figure out what it is that they're going to do for the next 20, 30 years of their life, because once you hit retirement, it's not the end of the road. It's just the start of a brand new phase.
Right. I always say you retire from a job, but you don't retire your mind. Absolutely. Exactly. It can be the beginning of a new era of your life, Yeah, let's talk a little bit about your personal background. I know that you're married. Any children involved?
Yep. I've got 2 lovely girls. They're in their early 20s.
Oh, wow.
They're both busy with their own lives, of course, but still part of ours.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And you're still working, but you've already retired from a career, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
I joined the military right out of high school, and I did that for 20 years, the Canadian military, obviously. And after 20 years, I retired from that, expecting full well to have the rest of my life to do what I want. Right. But after 20 years, when you started in high school, I was only 39. I couldn't really expect to retire at that point. My kids were little. The little bungee cord was firmly enhanced or ingrained in the back of my pants, and they pulled me all the way back in, and I started working again. But retirement is coming up one more time very shortly.
So you're going to be really an expert at retiring for sure. Tell us what you're doing now, because I find that it's fascinating as a woman what it is that you're doing right now.
For my full-time job?
For your full-time job. Because you work 9 to 5, don't you?
I do. I work 9 to 5. My profession is pharmacy, and I'm still working for the Department of National Defense. But what I do is medical supply support. So I look after all the consumable supplies that the military uses in all their bases across the country, and I make sure that they have access to the things that they need.
Wow, that's a biggie. That's a really big responsibility.
It's a lot of fun. I get to talk to a lot of people every day, all across the country.
Right. And so you're still enjoying your job, right? When is that? When, you know, so that's like a second career. When is retirement? I mean, what are we talking about? 5 years from now, or?
Oh no, retirement is less than a year now. I just had my 59th birthday, and
Congratulations.
thanks. And I decided that on my 60th birthday, I'm done.
You're done. You're done. Now, retirement in Canada, you know, as you know, I was born in Canada, but I lived most of my life in the United States, and I retired. And in the United States, you can retire. Usually the age is at 65, but if you want to take Social Security early, it's at 62. How does it work in Canada? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
People have asked me that, and I guess it's kind of embarrassing to say I'm not 100% sure. So there might be somebody who can comment on here and tell me I'm wrong. You can retire. You can retire whenever you want. You can get retirement pensions if you're entitled to a pension, but there's the Canada Pension Plan and Old Age Security.
Right. I remember my mother getting all those. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And you can start collecting without any penalties at age 60.
Okay.
So that's a good time to aim at retirement, but you can retire before that. They just take away a percentage for years before.
You know, it's amazing that they think of retirement at the age of 60. I mean, you know, it used to be that people would die at 60, especially men. You know, women live to be 70. But now the new thing is men are living till they're 70 and women are in their 80s and 90s. So, you know, you would think that they would adjust, but they haven't.
I think it's great that they haven't, because it gives you an extra lifetime, basically 30 more years to do what you want.
Absolutely. Now, I know that you've taken advantage of a lot of things. For example, you already know what you want to do in retirement. I think you talked about house sitting. You know, it's so funny because when you talked about it, I thought, oh, God, that's what I wanted to do. Can you tell us about, I guess it's a side gig that you have that you would like to do in your retirement?
It's a side gig right now, for sure, because I'm still stuck at home in Canada doing my job, but I do house sit or pet sit around my area right now for people who are going away, if they want to go away and they don't want their pets to be in kennels. But as an international house sitter, it would be a full-time occupation as far as I'm concerned. It's the opportunity to see the world through the eyes of somebody who's living there instead of as a vacationer. You don't have to be in the touristy places. You get to be in a real house in the real world.
Right. And you have to tell my guests, you and I could have easily met. You actually house sat like 5 miles away from where I live right now in Mexico, right?
I did. Yeah.
When did that happen in Chapala? Yeah.
It was actually when I was setting up my podcast. That was where I was when I laid out my podcast for the first time.
Were you on vacation?
I was doing a house sit, actually.
Okay.
I was there for 5 weeks, and I was looking after a couple of cute little chihuahuas.
Uh-huh. But you were working. So how did you get away for 5 weeks? I mean,
I took vacation from my regular job.
Oh, okay.
Took all of my vacation time.
Okay. And so you were testing the waters. You were just testing how and this is something that you, how about your husband? How does he like that house sitting business?
I think he's interested in the idea of being able to travel the world and see things from a different perspective than a hotel.
Right. More
than that, I think he's just kind of following along because it's what I want to do.
Oh, how sweet. Lucky you. Lucky you. That's great. Because so often, you know, one doesn't want to travel as much as the other. So that is great. And you're both healthy, and so I'm assuming you're both healthy. Oh, that's great. So now all you talk about that's not all you talk about, but you talk to people about retirement, right? And so you see, now is your podcast, tell me how your podcast works. Could you, first of all, for some of our listeners, you hear the word podcast a lot. Can you explain to them what that means? What is a podcast?
Sure. Podcast is basically just someone talking into a microphone. It's like listening to a radio program. We're going back to the olden days when all the shows used to be on the radio all the time before TV came along. Podcasting is just like that.
So, I always think of TV being replaced by live Facebook, Facebook Live, and I think of radio being replaced by podcasts, right?
Exactly.
In the new business world. So, how often do you do the podcast?
I air an episode every week. It comes live on Sundays at noon Eastern time, but that's just because that was convenient for me. It doesn't really matter when you listen in; you can listen to them anytime.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of people who listen to you live?
Well, it's not live. It's never live because I just upload the episode onto my platform and it gets dispersed to iTunes and all the other podcast platforms.
Okay. So, for example, if you were interviewing me on a podcast, and I knew when you were interviewing me, like for, let's say next Sunday, you're interviewing me. Would it not be possible for the people who follow me to be live listening to you and maybe participate? You can't do that with our podcast. Obviously, I'm looking, for some information for you because I don't do podcasts. My media, my platform is Facebook.
Exactly. No, podcasts are generally recorded. They're not live.
Okay.
I guess people could do them live, but it's not as easy to do it because you're doing it onto an internet platform as opposed to video with Facebook or with streaming.
Okay. Like we're doing here with.
Yeah, it's not quite the same.
So I suppose that's why they are so they're very popular today, podcasts. Everybody wants to get into the podcast. And is it because people don't have to be live? Because there's a lot of people that don't like the camera, don't like to be in front of the camera. But also, you have to fix your hair and you have to put on your makeup for the live. The podcast you could do in your pajamas, really.
Exactly. You can be wherever you want to do the podcast, and also to listen to a podcast, you can be doing other things. You don't have to be right there in front of your screen. So it's kind of nice.
Which a lot of people who commute today, do a lot of podcast listening. So it has become very, very popular. It's so. Since your podcast is called Beyond Retirement, I'm interested in finding out what kind of issues your retired or you're about to retire people have. Can you what kind of pains and desires do they have? Can you speak a little bit to that?
Well, I have to kind of guess. I've had a couple of responses from people who listen. But generally, the podcasting world is very lonely. You don't get a lot of responses usually. But I think the vast majority of people are wondering what they're going to do, what retirement is going to mean. People who have been doing a job, whatever profession it might be, for the past 30 years and suddenly stop doing it. A lot of them lose their sense of identity. They don't know what to call themselves anymore. Right. They don't know. When someone says, "So what do you do?" and they can't say, "I'm a plumber," or "I'm a doctor," or "I'm whatever," because they're not anymore. So a lot of them, the biggest pain point is, who am I now?
Who am I? My sister always says, "I'm a happy retiree."
Exactly. And that's perfect.
Yeah. That's what she says all the time. I'm on vacation permanently, and I'm a happy retiree. That's great. So, do you find that people, when they talk to you, they're kind of desiring something. They're looking for the next thing, and they're just in search of something.
A lot of people are. I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups for people who are retiring or searching for that, and the questions are always the same. What do you do next? Now that you're retired, what do you do? What do you wish you'd known before? Things like that.
And I belong to those groups too, because we have the same target audience, the people who are retired or about to retire. And I have found in these groups that because it's the United States, that health insurance in the United States is a big issue for those who retire, because the cost can go up. Their salary or whatever they're getting from Social Security or their investment is stable. It doesn't really increase. It might increase with the cost of living, but never enough. So that seems to be a big issue in the States. Is there one big issue that you see in Canada? Because you don't have the problem with the health insurance. I bet that never comes up, does it?
Not the same. We do have health protection, I guess, health insurance, but a lot of people are looking for more than just the basic coverage that is afforded to us, and we still have costs associated with that too.
So that is a concern.
I think for a lot of people, a big concern is just finances in general, and unfortunately, I try to steer away from that, because there are a lot of people who are qualified to talk about finances into and beyond retirement, but I'm not one of them.
No, exactly. So what is it that you offer them? Is this a platform to talk and to get their feelings out, or?
With the podcast, that it would be a platform to talk about whatever they want to talk about as far as life beyond retirement goes. Right. As far as what I offer them as a retirement lifestyle coach, I help them figure out what it is that really drives them, what they're passionate about, what they can do, whether it's to make money or not, because not everyone is looking to make money in retirement. Right. They're just looking to have meaning in their life.
Absolutely. Fulfillment. Yes. Yeah. Yes. And that seems to be a biggie, I think, for the third part of our life. It is for me. Yeah. And I'm sure it is for you. And I'm always thinking, how can I give more value? How can I do that? How can I give more? And so I'm enjoying what I do, and I love these interviews. By the way, I just love interviewing people. So that is so cool, because I get to hear the stories, and the stories are always so varied and so important. And so what's next for you as far as, okay, you're 59, you're going to retire when you're 60. Can you, I know, because you're a planner, what's going to be the first thing after you retire, celebrate your retirement? What's the first thing you think that you might do?
To be honest, the very first thing I'm going to do is actually coming the month before I retire. I've already booked a month-long tour in Southeast Asia. Wow. I'm really excited about that. My husband and I are going to spend an entire month touring.
Wonderful.
After that, I'm afraid that the first few months maybe are probably going to be pretty boring, as I try to figure out how to downsize, how to get rid of all the clutter we've got, so that we can uproot ourselves and start to travel.
That's amazing, because I've spoken to so many people whose job is to help people unclutter, because they want to move on, and that has become a business in itself.
It is.
And so, and you forget how important that is, because you have all these years of being in a house. And so, do you think that you are going to move, or you're just going to declutter your house?
Do you have my plan? My plan is to move. We are planning to sell our house and move potentially to Mexico, so we might be neighbors.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful! And I can give you all the tips on how to do it the right way. So that is
Exactly.
so cool. That is so
So
cool.
I've got a little bit of time to research that and figure out exactly where we want to be and how we're going to do it. So,
absolutely. And this is one little paradise, I'll tell you. But I'm not the only one that has found paradise. There's 20,000 expats here with me,
exactly.
and lots of them, and more Canadians coming down because of those harsh winters that you have. I know the winters in Quebec. I remember leaving, saying, I never want to see another winter of my life. you know, and I love the snow, but I like to go. I like to downhill ski, and I like to then leave and take off my down jacket and and be without a coat or anything. So, but anyway, so that I moved to Mexico and I haven't skied in 5 years. So there's always something you have to give up, but you have to weigh the pros and cons. But of course, I could always take a ski trip. Which
I think I'd be willing to give up the snow.
would you be willing to give up the snow?
Yeah.
That's great. So, if somebody wanted to contact you, Jacquie, I know down below I have to reach Jacquie. Email her at retireabc. I love that. It's nice and easy. retireabc@gmail.com, or they can go to your website, which is www.beyondretirement, CA for Canada, not com, because everybody thinks of com, but CA if you're in Canada. So is there any advice that you have for anybody listening to, because one of the things that I like to do is to show people how it's pretty easy to get online to, the problem is, a lot of folks don't know where to start. They don't know who to trust. What's a piece of advice that you would give to someone who wanted to start an online business?
I think the most important thing is to jump in and try it. You're not going to break the internet by getting on there and doing things.
Right.
So go in, make mistakes, see what's out there, and give it a shot.
Absolutely, because I can tell you I've made loads of mistakes, and I can help people not to make the same mistakes. Exactly. So great advice. Just get in there. Imperfect action is better than no action at all. And it's the best lesson I learned online, with my business, because you're always trying to learn. You're always trying to perfect. No, forget it. Jump in. Just like Jacquie says, jump in and you'll be led, really, and the right people will come to you. Well, that is so cool. So what I want to say is thank you for your time, Jacquie. It's been a pleasure to spend this time with you. The best wishes for your podcasting. You are going to continue, right?
I am.
I know you're so busy that you're booked for the next year, I think.
I am, yep.
So you've got your job, right there laid out for you. So I just want to thank you again for being with us. And I want to say to my audience, you know how to reach Jacquie if you want to. And also I want to let you know that I am launching my new program, which is the 3.0 program. And we are starting with a 5-day free challenge. And if you haven't joined that challenge yet, and you can do so. And let me see. Oh, we have a little comment here of somebody that says they'll get the replay because they had to leave. That's cool. And so let me just see if I can do this. You see, technology is, you're always learning. And I am trying to do this banner because I was so cool about this. Oh, lovely interview, somebody said. We don't know who said that. Facebook users, just so that you know. And somebody said it was replaced. So anyway, I will put the information down in the comment after this for those of you who want to join that 5-day challenge. And so you know how to reach Jacquie, you know how to reach me. And so we'll bid you goodbye. And We won't see you next week because we're in full launch. We'll see you in 2 weeks for our next interview. Bye, everyone. Bye, Jackie.
Thanks, Lucy. It was great.
Thank you.